All right, guys, welcome to the WAN show. It is that time again this week, the time that I set aside to spend with you, all of you out there in Twitch streaming land. And oh crap, I've got the tab open on my laptop and I'm like 20 seconds behind and I can hear myself. And okay, I've managed to make it so that I'm not going crazy anymore, which is nice. I am unfortunately without Luke this week, which is a real shame, but he's basically got some stuff he's got to deal with this week, and I totally get it. So I'm going to hopefully have someone join me in a short while here. And, you know, it's funny. I was planning to have the show go completely smoothly with no hitches in his absence, the way that he claims that it always goes when I'm not around. But I will confess to you now, I have not yet actually tested my screen share. So this is the moment of truth. Will I be having an easy, well, not easy, I mean, you know, live streaming it's very difficult, very, very difficult. But will I be having a seamless show today? Or no? Oh, look at that. Nailed it. Yes, my friend. So we've got a lot of great topics for you today. There's been some big news and there's been some little news. Researchers built a 1,000 core processor. I'll be talking about that and why it probably doesn't mean a whole lot to you and won't for quite some time. YouTube's terms of service have been updated. It's mostly around their harassment and cyberbullying policy. So that is going to have potentially huge ramifications for some YouTubers out there who are basically making a living out of harassment and cyberbullying. Twitch brings CFAA and trademark claim against bot operators. Apparently they are a persistent frustration. That is some strong language coming from their senior vice president of marketing. Okay. And in much huger news, that's not necessarily directly purely tech related, but will absolutely have an effect on technology and how that works, especially for Europeans moving forward. The UK has voted to leave the EU. It is final, but there are some important other notes about it that we're going to be talking a little bit about later. So without further ado, let's get on Twitch chat here and see if wow, no one is complaining. That is amazing. And here come all the complaints. So let's roll the intro so that I can just, you don't even have to watch me pretending not to read them. Squarespace! Oh, what the heck? It's like 4 pixels off. Look at us, we're like dancing. Oh, wait. Also, for some reason, we have much darker skin in this one. Fascinating. Tunnelbear! Freshbooks! And those are all the same, but the blank ones... one of these days, we're gonna become a real professional media company, and we're not gonna make little mistakes. Like, who am I kidding? That's never happening. All right, so let's jump right into our first topic here. The original article here is from Engadget. Researchers build a 1,000 core processor that they call the Kilo Core. Yeah, that makes sense. So, in a nutshell, what a kilo core or a many core processor would be optimized for is, as you can well imagine, performing many parallel operations. So that's many small things all at once. This is not going to have pretty much any relevance to you, the person sitting there who wants to play games or encode video that you edited, or, I mean, really most of what you would consider to be a home use for a computer. This is not going to have any relevance for you. I don't want to say ever, because ever is a really big word, but for a very, very long time, because the limitation of the way that we currently code software is usually, when it comes to performance, the single-threaded performance of the CPU or CPUs that are being used to handle the workload. It will take an enormous change in the way that programming is done for something like this hyper low power kilocore processor to have much relevance to someone who wants to, even, general web browsing can consume a lot of CPU horsepower these days. But there are things that it can be used for: sorting through data, encryption. One of the applicability sort of notes that I have in here is encoding videos, but that is heavily dependent on the codec being used for one thing, and for, how many video streams you're trying to encode. So if you could make a 1,000-core processor that is powerful enough for each of the cores to handle an individual encoding stream, holy crap. I could see a site like Twitch or like YouTube being all over that kind of technology. It's like, you mean we can have 1,000 cores, each of which can handle an incoming video encoding request from a file upload by itself? And these things can consume, 0.7 watts total? The whole thing could run on a AA battery, and this is without the benefit of the latest manufacturing process node. So this was actually built on 32 nanometer technology, which is quite archaic at this point in time. Though it should be noted that a mere, 4 or 5 years ago, that would have been considered state of the art. So the processor handles 115 billion instructions per second, and part of what makes it operate so efficiently at the core is that the cores transfer data to each other directly rather than on a shared cache of memory. Though again, it should be noted that that will only be more efficient for certain workloads where the cores need to share data directly with each other, and where you can build enough interconnects for the cores to not have to leap over multiple other cores in order to access another one. Very, very cool. So let's just see if there's, is there like a picture I can show you or anything like that? It looks like most of the news articles, this one's over on bgr.com, are just pulling generic CPU pictures off of Shutterstock here. Ooh, flight attendants and passengers get away with this all the time. Fascinating. Love it. Thank you for that. Love those sponsored articles under the actual article that I'm trying to read. All right, so the original source here is dexerto.com, a site that we've never actually referred to before as far as I'm aware. Just go ahead and make sure that's paused. So there have been some changes to the YouTube terms of service that target harassment. Now, to be clear, I don't have a strong objection to changing terms of service to prevent cyberbullying or harassment. And honestly, I don't know why we really even call it cyberbullying. Bullying is bullying, and calling it e-bullying, it's almost like, or cyberbullying is almost like softening it. What's actually, what would be considered more adulterous? Sex or cyber sex? What do we consider to be more sport-like? Sports or esports? And I don't personally believe that cyberbullying has the potential to be any less harmful than any other type of bullying. And in fact, I think it can make you feel much more trapped because you can't even escape from it online. So anyway, YouTube has made some changes to the terms. In cases where harassment crosses the line into a malicious attack, it can be reported and will be removed. So this is referring specifically to a video that a user would upload. So harassment may include abusive videos, comments, and messages, revealing someone's personal information, which is great. Doxing is never okay. Maliciously recording someone without their consent. That's interesting. How do you determine that it is malicious? And what does that do for an awful lot of YouTube videos that are just like, this person failed, look how stupid they are? That's interesting. That could have serious ramifications for content that it will be uploaded, and a lot of content that's already on the site, making hurtful and negative comments and videos about another person, deliberately posting content in order to humiliate someone, unwanted sexualization, which encompasses sexual harassment or sexual bullying in any form, and incitement to harass other users or creators. Interesting note is that, what's that channel called? Drama Alert?
Oh, yeah.
Or something? Yeah.
Killer Keemstar.
Yeah, Drama Alert got a new host within minutes of this announcement, hours of this announcement. Hi, Nick. Welcome to the show.
Hello, everyone. That's partially due to that and partially due to the fact that he's just a really,
Remember, hold on, we're uploading this to YouTube. No personal attacks, okay? No harassment.
He is allegedly not a very nice person.
Allegedly.
And a lot of people have been posting videos essentially attacking him. So it's like a twofold thing, I think, with that. But yes, they did replace their host.
It's funny how swords can have two edges on them, isn't it?
I mean,
it cuts both ways, as the kids say. Actually, I think that's a somewhat dated expression.
Which kids?
Yeah,
the 70-year-old kids?
Oh, come on. I'm not 70. Anyway, you can report people that are breaking the new and updated terms of service using YouTube's reporting tool. Speaking of which, I actually need to deal with a false flag on one of our stupid videos.
Oh?
Yeah, it's basically it's like just, no, this isn't valid. Especially once you're a verified YouTuber. It's pretty simple to deal with a lot of those types of reports. But every once in a while, someone will say that our video needs closed captioning, which...
That would be nice.
Yeah.
We've looked into it before. It's just really expensive.
No, they're saying it needs it. Some videos legally must have closed captioning. If they've been uploaded as broadcast television in the United States, then they must be closed captioned. So for us, it's just a matter of going, no, actually it doesn't
I think it's also in Canada, if it's supposed to be used as like a public resource.
Yeah. So
then I think it has to have closed captioning as well.
So there's some terms of servicey funny stuff that every once in a while happens, but this is potentially pretty far reaching. I mean, fortunately, it doesn't have an impact on us. But what it does do is it highlights for us, and I mean really for any online content creator, once again, the powerlessness that we have. I mean, on the one hand, you think, internet video, kind of freedom of expression, say whatever you want. But at the end of the day, what people have to realize is that YouTube.com is Google's playground. And if you want to play in Google's playground, you got to play by Google's rules. And while this, again, doesn't affect us because we don't harass or bully people on the Linus Tech Tips channel because there are certain manufacturers that you could argue that I wasn't very nice to their product, but that's not personal. That's the product.
But these terms are pretty open-ended.
Yep.
And that's like my huge concern with it is what are they going to constitute as bullying? Are they going to constitute satire as bullying?
Yeah.
Because that's a massive concern. And I think that, I'm not like someone who's like, oh, this is the beginning of the end for YouTube or anything. But it brings up a lot of concerning questions. And censorship is often the lead to the death of a platform. So I think that as long as YouTube has the resources in place to actually handle this properly, and they're just going to make sure that they review everything before they do it, unlike their copyright system. They don't have a great history of doing this. As long as they handle it properly, I think it's a good thing for the platform. Because let's be honest, lately there has been a lot of questionable content on the platform. But it has a huge potential to go bad. With
that said, they are making strides towards improving these things. For example, it used to be that if someone filed a copyright claim against you, your monetization got pulled, even though the video might stay up during the appeal period, but your monetization got pulled. So, for example...
The monetization would go to the person who is claiming it, right?
I don't think so.
In some situations, I think, if it was like someone who...
Auto detection of music, yes.
Okay.
But depending on what it was, sometimes monetization, and I've had monetization just pulled for other reasons.
Okay.
During a dispute or an appeal period. For example, this is actually a great example. It's an older one now, but I'm gonna pull up the video because I was so freaking mad about this at the time. Obviously, it's water under the bridge at this point. I love my YouTube overlords.
We love you. Please don't shut us
down.
Yeah,
please don't shut down my channel. But check this out. So this is one of my older videos. This is back from 2012, and I have no idea how loud this is for you guys. But this is my unboxing of the original Razer Blade. So let's go ahead and full screen this baby. Yeah, check that out. It was a, what was it? A 15, 17 inch, something like that. Yeah, it was a big old thing. It had like this weird. This was called the Switchblade interface. So Razer Blade thin and light gaming notebook featuring, and you guys can't read all the way over here because we were covering it. Here, I'll just move us. Featuring Switchblade unboxing. So what happened with this video was that YouTube actually flagged it automatically for dangerous content containing weapons. So I'm gonna pull up. So I'm gonna pull up the analytics for this video, and I'll explain exactly why I was so upset about it. So the way that my compensation structure worked at NCIX at the time was I had a monthly quota for how many videos I had to make. So I think it was as high as 45. At one time, 45 unboxings was like my quota, and I got a flat rate, and it was very little. It was like $10 per unboxing or something like that. Like it was a pretty low rate, or like $15 or something. But remember, the production values weren't what they are now. It was like
one shot.
Me and my wife.
Camera.
Okay, sometimes there were 2 shots.
If you made a mistake.
Sometimes there weren't 2 shots if I made a mistake. So let's be careful with how we say the 2 shots ended up in the video.
Back in the day, if Linus made a mistake, sometimes it was the person behind the camera waving frantically going, stop, stop, stop. And then the shot would cut, and then you'd come back and go, okay, actually, yeah, I was wrong. It's actually this. And they would just leave that in the video. So for all you new viewers out there, if you think it's bad now.
Yeah. So let's pull up my analytics for this video here, and I will show you guys why I was so upset. Because, okay, so I got a flat rate for the videos that I made, and then what I also got was a cut of the YouTube AdSense. So that was how we ended up with ads on the videos. So here are the first, I don't know however many days this is, like 20 days, some odd, of this video. It got pulled immediately because of the word Switchblade. And in the first 5 days, for me, in 2012, okay, like 70, 80,000 views. Like, how many views is this? About 80 to 90,000 views in the first week was unheard of. That was a big deal. That was like huge for me. Also, the CPMs, I believe, were higher on the platform at the time, and a variety of other reasons why this was really upsetting. But it just got pulled. It just got completely pulled. I got nothing for it. And even though, like, my appeal was like, yo, this is clearly a laptop computer, and nothing to do with razors, nothing to do with blades, and nothing to do with switchblade knives, hey, put this back. But they would just turn the monetization off, and it's just gone, poof. So the point of that really long story was they're improving, they're getting better.
It's true.
But it's not perfect yet, and I totally hope that they don't screw this up. All right, speaking of screwing things up, the original article here is from Polygon, and I'll let Nick go ahead and introduce this topic here.
I haven't even read this one.
You haven't read this one? Oh,
nope.
Okay, this is a Colton topic. That's fine. We'll jump into this one.
That's cool. So last Friday, Twitch filed a lawsuit against 7 individuals/organizations that are in business of selling bots. These bots are designed to artificially inflate the viewer and follower counts of Twitch streamers. They are a persistent frustration, in the words of their marketing senior vice president, Matthew DiPietro, and they have announced that they are now creating a very real problem on the platform. So these bots have been used to deny streamers partnerships or harass other broadcasters, and Twitch employs technological solutions that detect and remove false viewer or bots currently. So the lawsuit represents a third layer in their strategy against bots here. And yeah, among the allegations, there are federal trademark infringement, unfair competition, cyber squatting, fraud, breach of contract, and tortious interference.
So they're seeking injunctions against the bot makers, including the transfer of the possession of their domains. They're ordering barring payment processors from providing them with service, and restitution, legal fees, and punitive damages. I mean, bots are a huge problem for pretty much any platform that is trying to monetize views or ad impressions, because I mean there's a reason that, I don't know if you know this, but the Google AdSense terms of service basically do not care why bot traffic is viewing ads on your site. So this is like a really scary thing. This is not actually why we lost our Google AdSense account. That had to do with people posting racy images on the forum.
Lewd pictures.
Lewd pictures on the forum that, like, buried in a thread of, you know, it was like a 400-page desktop wallpaper thread. And it's like, you know, you need to be moderating, like, yeah, it is what it is. So that's why you don't see Google ads on the Linus Tech Tips forum anymore. But this is an interesting fact, is that their terms of service don't give a crap why there are bots viewing them or why there are bots clicking on the ads. They are going to go after you with a shoot first, ask questions later approach. You'll get cut off, and it will be up to you to prove that someone else was maliciously coding bots and creating bots to browse and click on your ads. So,
like that,
because it hurts the value of Google's product.
For their purposes, that approach makes sense, because if the burden of proof is on them and they have no way to prove whether or not it was you that was botting, because let's be honest, they don't.
Nope. Then
they can never take it away. So as soon as they put the burden of proof on you, that allows them to actually take it away in any case that there's botting. And the reason why botting is a huge issue is because, like Lana said, when you're trying to sell a product like an ad, if there are rumors out there even that, you know, some of the ads are being botted, the advertisers are coming after you and going, why am I paying you for nothing?
Yeah, paying for absolutely nothing. I mean,
literally.
With Twitch, it's more complicated because, I mean, you can't just go, you know, oh, Twitch streamer X, Y, or Z, you know, you're banned from the platform until, because I mean, malicious actions towards Twitch streamers that have nothing to do with them, you know,
so common.
You know, whether it's as silly as, you know, fake pizza deliveries, or you know, getting into a much more malicious territory, things like swatting. This is a huge thing. It's something about that community that thinks, you know, trolling the on-air personality is somehow appropriate. So for Twitch to come in and start going heavy-handed, like, anyone who has bots viewing their stream, you know, you're banned, you're cut off, your partnership, you know, your subscriber revenue is getting withheld. I mean, that would be grossly unfair. Yeah. So
the issue is so multifaceted on Twitch too, because as a new viewer to a game, you're going to click on probably one of the top broadcasters within that game category. So if someone's botting, they're not only trying to get more ad revenue by displaying a higher view count, they might even just be trying to get more exposure to get featured or whatever it is. So yeah, it's just such a, I mean, like, what I'm trying to say is maybe the person who's botting isn't even doing it maliciously. Maybe they're trying to help the content creator in their own disturbed way.
Which is terrible, by the way.
Horrible.
Yes, please don't do that. That's like the worst thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, click fraud, view fraud, any kind of fraud is so hard for a content creator, especially a smaller one. Yep. I mean, actually, this is a great opportunity for me to get into what happened with our Amazon Associates account. Sure. But anytime a content creator runs afoul of a much larger entity, whether we're talking about Google, Amazon, Twitch, owned by Amazon, speaking of much larger entities, it can be so hard, and I understand the reasons for this. I mean, you got to think about it. Like a program like, you know, an Amazon Associates, or like the creator management team at a company like Google, which is like, you know, so there's Alphabet, and then there's Google, and then there's YouTube, and then there's like sales and marketing and content acquisition and content development, and then there's this tiny little team like talent management. And there are literally millions of creators in some cases, at least hundreds of thousands. That much we know for sure. So for even someone like me, where I would like to think that I'm fairly significant, I think I'm in the top 500 and change of YouTubers. Let's say top 600 to be safe. Even for me, getting in touch with a partner manager took until about a year and change ago. Just to give you guys some idea. That was how long it took them to reach out to me. Get this, they reached out to me about the Tech Quickie channel. Did I tell you that?
Yeah.
They weren't actually reaching out about the Linus Tech Tips channel. We completely slipped through the cracks.
Let's be fair though. The contact email on that channel is extremely messy. So like it's possible.
No, I would have noticed.
It's possible.
I get notifications on my phone for every email.
All right.
I would have noticed.
Okay.
I was like, wow, they talked to me. Oh, be still my heart. So, so especially for a small content creator, anytime. So, okay, anyway, it's really small teams managing this stuff. They only have so much bandwidth to manually review things. So a lot of this stuff is done by automated systems. And to get someone to review it has to be done in a priority fashion. So
if you have 500 subscribers on YouTube.
Good luck. Like, I lost my channel 4.5 years ago. It took me over a month to get it back. It took YouTube literally 5 years to ever get in touch with me about anything. And when, so getting into the Amazon thing, when I was found to be in breach of Amazon's Associates terms of service, my appeal process was basically, yo, can we talk about this on the phone? Yo, no.
Good luck elsewhere.
So it can be pretty tough. Now, with that said, so leading back into, because, you know, we consider ourselves to be something of a key online video program when it comes to technology, and I know a few people who know a few people who know a few people who were willing to stick their necks out on my behalf. I do actually have some news to share as far as the whole Amazon thing goes. So last week I did announce that Amazon Associates, our Amazon links were dead. Our account was dead and everything was dead. Since that time, I have managed to get on the phone with someone, and it looks like we are going to work together to move forward. I've actually got some notes that I put together about sort of what has exactly gone on. So it was pointed out to me that anyone is allowed, even unless you've been found to be like clearly maliciously abusing the program, anyone is allowed to change their business model and to a compliant business model and reapply. So we've actually been approved as of yesterday morning for a new account. And, you know, here's what I have to say to you guys. This does mean there will be a new ID. You won't have seen that anywhere yet because we're working very carefully to go through our everything and make sure that all of our practices, all of our editors know, you know, how to call it out correctly. You know, all of our writers know how to call it out correctly. So we want to make sure that we are 100% above board, because I do not imagine for a second that I have a longer leash than, you know, about this. If we were to ever violate the terms of the agreement again. But here's what I'll say. If you're a creator out there who is using the Amazon Associates program, or if you're looking into the Amazon Associates program, because honestly, in spite of the stress that I've gone through in the last week, I still highly recommend participating in the program. It is a great program. It's a great way to make additional revenue without compromising any integrity. That's one of the things that I love about it, is that because Amazon carries everything, I can recommend something on Amazon without there being any conflict.
Yeah. Because they carry everything.
Because they carry everything. I don't care if you buy the LG G5 or the, OnePlus 3. I don't give a crap. You just go buy it there.
Buy one.
Yeah,
buy
both.
Yeah.
So here's what I'll say. Carefully study the terms of the agreement. Yeah. Carefully clicking on all of the hyperlinks within the terms of the agreement, because there are subterms of the agreement within the terms of the agreement. Review them all. Some of it is kind of vaguely worded, but I understand why they do this, and it's to prevent abuse. You can't cover every eventuality. I get that. So some of the terminology does seem a little gray, but here's the advice and this is my personal advice. This is not coming from Amazon. I'm making it very clear that I'm not affiliated with Amazon in any way other than that I am a participant in the Amazon Associates program. Yeah. That's something that they say that you're supposed to say. So right there you go. It's in the terms of service. The way to read it is keeping in mind the spirit of the agreement, which is that you are to show your viewers or your audience applicable products on Amazon, especially ones that you like or recommend, and you are to provide them with a means to quickly buy it by clicking on a link that you provide them. So if you keep that in mind while you read through it, the rules are much easier to understand. So there you have it. We have learned our lesson. We were extraordinarily lucky that we have some friends of some friends who were very generous to put their necks out and vouch for us being good people who were not maliciously abusing the program. So huge shout out to all the people who quietly helped us with this. Thank you for that, and look forward to seeing more Amazon links under our videos moving forward.
Yay.
Yay.
And another thing is, one of the people that I was talking to about it said, like, some of the people that work in that program are like people from all walks of life, all stages of life. So some of them like don't necessarily, I guess, understand the newer relations and stuff.
Right.
So like keep in mind that you have to just live within the terms as they're there and then some, just in case. So yeah.
Lesson learned, and it was a good one. Yeah. Speaking of lesson learned, I wonder what lessons will be learned from this. Original source here is from the BBC.com. The United Kingdom is no longer part of the European Union. Holy actual freaking crap.
Asterisk. It's going to take like at least 2 years, and the referendum is not technically legally binding, although anyone in the House of Commons that goes against it is probably committing like career political suicide. So it's probably pretty much almost like definitely going to happen.
Unbelievable. So, I mean, there's a lot of incredible stuff here. Like, if you guys were like me, you were probably glued to your phone last night, just looking at all the mind-blowing stats around this and all the speculation going on. But here's a few key ones. 71.8% of eligible voters attended. I have never, I mean, I know that it broke UK records, but I mean, does that break every record?
Like, yeah, people cared.
Holy crap. And
that's with like extreme weather conditions like flooding happening.
Yeah.
So if like the weather was all good, we probably would have been closer to like 75 or 80%.
Unbelievable.
Unheard of.
And even more crazy is just how divided the country was. So in the end, it was a mere 52 to 48% vote. It was incredibly close. England was just a touch higher on the leave side of things. Wales was right there in the thick of things at the average, 52.5 voted leave, 47.5 stay. Scotland and Northern Ireland both backed staying in the EU, which is going to have some very interesting ramifications for the Scotland England relationship over the next little bit, with Scotland going as far as to say, we might have actually, done the wrong thing when we stayed in the UK a little while ago. We might be referenduming again. This is interesting. Okay, no. One of my favorite Quebecois over there sent me this Wikipedia article on the Quebec referendum, which was actually another Quexit, I guess we could call it, when Quebec voted on whether to leave Canada and become an independent country for the first time. This was on October 30th, 1995, and 93.52% of people turned out to vote.
Oh my goodness.
The no option carried by 50.58%. So yes, there have been closer and...
It's like 50.58.
Yeah, I had forgotten how close that was. So okay, all right,
Wow.
thanks, A Prime. You got me there. You got me there.
Wow.
I should have studied up my Canadian history better. So... what does all this mean? First, let's talk a little bit about what being a member of the EU has meant in purely technological terms.
Yep.
Cheaper airfares,
Yep.
easier studying and traveling and living abroad on the mainland Europe.
Yep.
Cheaper cell phone service. So the way that the EU has cracked down on roaming charges within European Union members has been a huge benefit to EU countries. I have been to the EU and traveling over borders, extraordinarily easy, very, very cool.
Essentially what the EU does, the European Union does, is turn the partner countries into a single market. So they're essentially eliminating borders in a lot of ways for goods, services, people, money, especially with the euro, which was implemented, what, like 10, 15 years ago, something like that?
I can't remember when the euro
Not
got
too long
implemented,
ago.
but it wasn't like, it was in my adult lifetime-ish.
Yeah.
Like, I remember going to Paris and there still being francs when I graduated
Francs.
high school.
Francs.
Oh, whatever. So it began after World War II, and it was all about economic cooperation, and has become more than that.
So the overall
since.
goal is to boost trade, create jobs, lower prices.
All right, so why then did United Kingdom residents vote to leave? So they claimed they were being held back, said it imposed too many rules on businesses and charged billions of pounds per year in membership fees for little return, wanted Britain to take back full control of its borders and reduce the number of people coming to work and live in the country, because that's one of the things. As much as many Britons have been enjoying, going and working or living over the English Channel there, well, the same is true of anyone else who wants to go and live in the UK. Yep. They also objected to the move towards what they saw as the creation of a United States of Europe.
So to speak to the membership fees, there was like a note that I read where I think in 2014/15, the fiscal year 2014/15, the UK was charged something like 8.8 billion pounds in membership fees. And they were able to trace back about 5.5 billion pounds of actual benefit for UK citizens or UK residents. So that includes stuff like university grants, housing grants, etc. So there's a significant cost to them for actually being a part of the union, and that cost is essentially absorbed by some of the other members of the union that contribute a bit less. So yeah, empirically, I can kind of understand the argument there, but that's looking at that one statistic in a vacuum and ignoring, the free trade that it allows, the free travel, the free,
convenience,
free movement.
And you know what? But there's a lot of people who don't give a crap about that.
That's true.
And for them, whatever.
If they just want to stay in Leeds or wherever and live out their life there, then maybe it's better for them to just have a UK.
So here's a few more interesting tidbits. The pound has fallen to its lowest since fell. I don't know if it stayed there actually. I haven't looked recently, but it fell to its lowest since 1985. Fun fact: our Amazon.co.uk affiliate payouts haven't been cashed in a really long time.
I heard.
Yeah. So we actually just lost like a really long time.
I know.
So we just lost
a lot.
A couple £1,000s or something, I think.
A lot.
Yeah, a lot.
I don't know how much exactly, but it's a lot.
I don't know how much exactly, but it's not insignificant. So thanks for that, Brexit.
The Treasury forecast a rise between 0.7 and 1.1% in mortgage borrowing costs. So that might not seem significant, but I think it works out to somewhere around £1,000 a year extra
Ouch.
And like possibly years added to your mortgage. So like compound interest, dog. That sucks. Like, yeah.
Where the hell did this come from? Emergency pun? The EU now has 1 GB more space?
I did not put that there.
Whoever did is fired. So it's pretty funny though.
It was probably Ghost, so you can't technically fire him.
Damn it. All right, well that's okay.
1 GB.
1 GB more space. I see what you did there.
Bro.
Thank you for that. All right, speaking of thank you for that, thank you to Tunnelbear for sponsoring the WAN show. The Tunnelbear is the easy-to-use VPN app for mobile and desktop. It lets you tunnel to 20 different countries, allowing you to browse the internet, thank you for that, Nick, and use online services as though you are in a different country. You just choose the country in the app, turn it on, and boom, your connection gets encrypted with the AES 256-bit encryption, and your public IP address gets switched so you show up as though you are from somewhere else, something that could end up being more relevant for Great Britain citizens than it used to be. I mean, think about this. Things like content law could now be dramatically different between Britain. This is where I'm tying it back into tech. It's a lot of people asking in the Twitch chat. Content law could be very different in Great Britain than it is in the rest of the EU.
Yeah.
Holy crap, you could have completely different... Oh, man. Oh, you could have completely different like censorship layers. You could have all kinds of stuff that a VPN could be beneficial for. Man. Oh, this is gonna be an interesting 10 years. Anyway, Tunnelbear makes it easy with no port configuration, DNS, or any other nonsense, and they have a top-rated privacy policy that does not log user activity. You can try it out for free at tunnelbear.com/WAN, and you can save 10% at tunnelbear.com/WAN. There is no credit card required for the 500 megabytes of free data, by the way. Speaking of no credit card required, have you ever run a small business for yourself, whether you do tiling or teach dance lessons in your attic, or don't do it in the attic, that'd be very warm.
Dog hairdressing.
Or dog hairdressing, or plumbing, or small-time computer repair, or even medium-time computer repair.
Maybe you make trinkets,
maybe
like
you make
dream catchers.
Yes, all things Luke's family has done.
I don't know about dream catchers.
I don't know about Dreamcatcher specifically.
Seems like it might be a thing.
It seems believable, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, Freshbooks is a great way for you to spend more time actually making money and less time in boring accounting software trying to figure out how much taxes you owe. So it's super easy to use, even if you're not a numbers person. It's cloud-based, so you can access it anytime. It's got great functionality, like being able to take pictures of your receipts so you can log your expenses, being able to log your hours so you know how to bill for a particular job, being able to accept deposits, being able to send those deposits and those bills to your clients, being able to tell if they've read them, being able to, here's where that segue comes in, accept payment from your clients via credit card through FreshBooks directly. And it makes the whole thing easier. If you have any questions, you can reach out to their support staff, where you will speak to a real live person with no escalations, no callbacks. I mean, I'm sure they'll call you back if something goes wrong and you get disconnected. They're good people over there. But that's what it's all about. Try it out. Head over to freshbooks.com/WAN and claim your free trial today. Which brings us finally to Squarespace.
Oh no.
The sponsor for which I'm no longer allowed to say build it beautiful, and no longer allowed to say, what I can't even, you should, yes, you should.
You know,
about which I am no longer allowed to say,
Jeff Bridges!
Jeff Bridges!
I think the whole point of that is that you're not supposed to say anything about it in the... I'll be over here.
You're a lot more fun to troll in person. This is great. I should bring you on the show for the ad spots every time. So Squarespace is the way to build a beautiful website that's all about you. It reflects who you are. You just choose one of the templates, which are actually surprisingly flexible. You know, once you gussy them up with pictures here and text there, and they've got a cool little logo designer. You can make your own little simple logo. it ends up looking pretty darn unique. And you can do all this even without a deep amount of coding skill. They've got 24/7 support via live chat and email. All of their websites feature responsive design, so they'll look great on everything from a full-size computer to a handheld device. Commerce is built into every single template now, which is pretty freaking cool. It's got a free online store. Cover Pages is a feature that allows you to have a simple web presence with just a single page. Like let's say it's just, you're just a restaurant. You don't want to spend a whole lot of time on your site. You're just like, you know what? I just want people to know what my hours of operation and my menu are. Boom.
We got chicken fingers.
Yeah, get that up in a couple of minutes and don't think about it anymore, because our website, linusmediagroup.com, hosted on Squarespace for the last 4 years. I don't think it's ever been down. Awesome. It's just all about people being able to access your website, get information about you, your sports team, your art portfolio, your business, whatever the case may be, and go on their merry way. So head over to squarespace.com and use offer code Linus to save 10% if you try their 2-week free trial and you decide, hey, I like it, it's cool. So thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring the WAN show. Squarespace.
Wait for it.
Set your website apart.
Pew, pew, pew.
No, really, I think that's their current one.
That's what it says. That's what it says on their site.
I mean, I can't get in trouble for saying what's on their site. I should just turn absolutely everything on their site into a tag, into a slogan. Squarespace. Start your free trial today. Squarespace.
Domains.
Squarespace. Logins. Squarespace. Perfect websites. Squarespace. Trusted by the world's best. Squarespace. Over 1 million paying customers? Holy crap. Wow. That's actually kind of incredible.
We need to charge more.
They may actually watch this.
I'm kidding.
Now you're going to be the one who gets us in trouble with the sponsors. True. That's great.
Totally
now it doesn't have to be me anymore. That's fantastic. I love it.
Random question.
Yes.
I was thinking this when you were doing the spot. If you had to open a restaurant, what kind of a restaurant would you open?
I would open a food restaurant. And it's great because
food restaurant.
American Dad actually has an episode where the main character, Stan, opens what he calls the food restaurant, or his food restaurant. And his food restaurant is stupid. And I wouldn't open a food restaurant like that, because his served I don't know what it's chocolate dipped chicken wings or whatever, just dumb stuff. So my food restaurant would be kind of like what I think restaurants like White Spot try to do, where they'll have a chicken teriyaki dish, and they'll have a fish and chips, and they'll have a butter chicken.
So a variety restaurant.
They have a variety, except the problem is that they do everything in sort of this super non-authentic, pandering to Midwestern, white people sort of way.
It's like you're trying butter chicken if you didn't actually want to eat butter chicken.
Yeah, exactly. So my food restaurant would be kind of like an all-star team.
Yeah. So
it would have meals.
Yeah.
So I don't actually know that we would do family style dishes. I think it would be individual meals, and I would want those individual meals to I would kind of say, okay, we're going to have a larger than normal kitchen.
Yeah.
We're going to have to kind of absorb some operating overhead there.
Yeah. Going to have a couple different chefs with different backgrounds.
Yep, you'll have to have a little bit of background. I think you'll have to bring in some consultants whenever you want to introduce a new dish, because you're not going to expect your, Cajun specialist to all of a sudden be able to whip up an amazing Thai dish.
Yeah.
But I would say, okay, let's absorb some extra operating overhead here, and let's be able to put together kind of set meals so that any group of people can come and dine. And, if I'm going out with, like a Taiwanese partner or something, I can take them there and they can get some dim sum or some, Singaporean style Hainanese chicken or whatever, and I can have a burger. And both of those things will legitimately be somewhat authentic and good. Cool. That would be the objective of my restaurant.
Okay.
What would your restaurant be? I'm curious now. I don't think this is very on topic, but
that's okay.
I'm curious.
That's okay. I mean, it's a similar thing. Luke and I actually talked about this a while ago, and essentially what we came up with was there's very Americanized dishes in each culture.
Yep.
So like sweet and sour pork from Chinese food, chicken teriyaki,
California
butter
roll.
chicken, California roll.
Yeah.
Essentially having like Canadian food just being like the variety of other cultures of food that we all bring together and call Canadian food, because we have a lot of awesome cultures here with a lot of awesome food.
Yep, that's true. Especially Vancouver. It's great. Actually, there was another great restaurant idea that I had a while back. I would want it to be like an icebreaker restaurant. I think I'd call it Icebreakers. And the idea...
Around here, they think it was a hockey-themed restaurant,
well,
like
probably.
a hockey-themed sports bar. Icebreakers with a Z.
It's like, we serve only Club Seal, you know?
Wow.
So my restaurant, actually, this was another really good idea, I thought, that I had. Every dish would be really awkward to eat. So like a plate of spaghetti that is one long noodle.
Right.
And the idea would be that you would go there with a date, knowing that no one is going to be able to perfectly consume every meal without getting something dribbling down their arm or on their chin or whatever.
There's like an ad that somebody pretty much like did that.
Really?
Except what it was they were like, okay, we're gonna pair these people up, and then the person, like, they had to feed each other the food. So they found like food that both people liked, and then they had to feed each other the food on like a first date. So it was like awkward but not, essentially.
That sounds
fun. People in the chat are just spamming RX480.
I don't know what I'm supposed to say about it.
Yeah, there's rumors.
Yeah. Which we can't talk about. So here's the thing. Actually, this is a good topic. Why aren't we talking about RX or R480? Because we do talk about pre-release hardware rumors very frequently.
Yeah.
So we're not talking about it because we know the answer. We can talk about rumors when we don't know the answer.
Yep.
But once we've signed a non-disclosure agreement that says we are going to independently evaluate the product, that is not going to affect the way that we look at this product, but we are not going to say anything about it until such time as the broad release of information is allowed to go out as specified by, in this case, AMD. So once we've signed that, we can't talk about it until it's time to talk about it. So a lot of people have asked, why is it that every tech channel has a video on the GTX 1080 at exactly the same time? That is why.
And some people wonder why embargoes are in place, and they're like, oh, this is, it must be because companies are paying people to do a review or something like that. It's so that there's fair competition in the review market.
Yeah.
It's so that we don't get an advantage from being Linus Tech Tips and having, 2.7 whatever subscribers.
Or that we
getting
don't
seated a card first.
Or that we don't end up with a disadvantage because we're in Canada,
we don't live in California,
and our card gets, held by customs for 3 days or something like that. So by having, usually it's anywhere from about 5 on the very low end, which is very frustrating, anywhere from about 5 to about 12 days. Usually that's how long you have with a product. So that allows enough time for something to go wrong. Like, for someone's kid to get sick and need some chicken soup or whatever, for something to go wrong and for you to still get your coverage out at the same time as everyone else.
Apparently I said 2.7 subscribers. Thank you, Twitch chat. 2.7 million subscribers.
2.7. I think you said 2.7 whatever subscribers. So you didn't remember it was millions, but you knew it was something, so good job.
I mean, I thought it might be billions, and then...
Speaking of good job, cable company overcharges might be even worse than you realize. The original article here is from Ars Technica. Man, I love those guys. Look at that flying sheet of money. And the other flying sheet of money. And the other flying sheets of money. But this image is not about freedom. This image is about getting fleeced by your cable provider, especially if you're an American. Not that I believe for a second that it's any better anywhere else. So a Senate report compares billing and service records and finds massive overcharges. Who, the cable companies?
Oh my goodness, who would have thought?
Not Charter and its new subsidiary Time Warner Cable have apparently been overcharging customers at least $7.2 million per year for equipment and service, the investigation has found. So Time Warner Cable overbilled customers nationwide an estimated $639,948. How did they get an estimate that goes right down to the single dollar anyway? Between January and April of this year. And these problems are bad because neither company had been issuing automatic refunds or credits to overcharged customers. So during the 6.5-year time period examined by the committee, TWC and Charter made no effort to trace equipment overages to their origin unless customers specifically asked them to, and did not provide notice or refunds to customers. Comcast has in the past overcharged customers, but they do a much better job at issuing refunds, apparently, than Time Warner Cable. Comcast told the subcommittee that it only had a billing error rate of 0.3%.
Comcast told them, so it must be true.
Time Warner Cable will begin investigating the overcharges only if customers bring it to their attention. So if you're a Time Warner Cable customer, give them a ring over there. And I don't mean this kind of ring. I mean the kind of ring that goes, "Yo, dog, sup?"
I mean, I have a feeling that you would have to sit on like a hold for at least 2 hours to get through to them.
Well, yeah, there's that. Yeah, so you end up suffering more than the $4 that you probably individually got overcharged. Anyway, going forward, both companies will apparently provide customers with a notice if they are overcharged.
Oh, that's good. I wish we could overcharge by like $7 million and just chill with it.
Yeah.
I also like...
I'd be down. Actually, I wouldn't be down. That would be totally wrong. But...
It would be totally wrong, but it would be dope if it wasn't. That was the thing that blew my mind with the Charter and Time Warner Cable merger or whatever, where the Time Warner Cable CEO apparently had it written into his contract that he got some obscene amount of money should ownership of the company change. 3 months later, he was already putting pen to paper for a change of ownership of the company. He was totally interested in bettering the company.
Yeah. No conflict of interest there whatsoever.
None whatsoever.
You know, it's funny how many inherent conflicts of interest exist in the world. I mean, and this is all like sanctioned stuff. Like you recently, are we able to talk about that?
Sorry.
Your big thing that happened recently that's been very exciting for you and kind of crazy.
Oh.
Like, are you out?
I didn't tell anyone.
Oh, okay. Okay, we don't have to talk about that.
Okay.
So
am I out?
What? That's the terminology.
Okay. I'm moving. I'm not changing my sexuality or something like that, which is what it sounded like you were saying. I'm moving. That's the big news.
So when you deal with a realtor, okay, whether you're buying, whether you're leasing, or whatever the case may be, when you deal with a realtor, ultimately there exists, as far as I can tell, an inherent conflict of interest. And to be clear, I have met some very good realtors, very good people, but there is an inherent conflict of interest because the seller or the leaser, not the leasee or sellee, whatever, I don't care. You guys get the point. So the seller or whoever's leasing the property pays the realtor fees. They pay that sort of on top of or out of the amount, not on top of, sorry, out of the negotiated rate that the buyer ends up agreeing to pay. So the way it works is that, let's say hypothetically, a house is $440,000, for example. Let's say hypothetically. So what would happen is a typical real estate agent commission is, I think, somewhere in the 1 to quite a bit more than 1. I think as high as like 3 or 4%.
Yeah,
can't remember exactly.
I think it depends on market conditions. Because like in Vancouver right now, I think it's somewhere in the 1 to 4, whereas, you know, if housing prices were closer to $100,000 or $200,000, it would probably be a little higher. Closer to 5 to 8. So
basically what happens is the seller is responsible for paying that to their realtor that they have entered a covenant with, or whatever the case may be, to represent them. So that realtor ultimately, like, there's this code of ethics or whatever, which is great for people who actually abide by those types of codes, but I've certainly met those who don't. There's this code of ethics that says that they have to represent you and blah, blah, blah. But the fact of the matter is they get paid no matter what.
And they get paid by the seller.
They get paid more if the rate is higher. So, okay, if they're representing the seller, then that's great. But there's a realtor potentially, and often, in many cases, for the buyer as well, who also gets paid by the seller, who also gets paid a proportion of the amount that the property sells for, and who the selling realtor has to split the commission with if there's a buying realtor present. Yeah. So this creates all kinds of conflicts, like choosing a buyer, which you're not supposed to do, based on them being self-represented, in which case the seller's realtor takes the entire commission, versus another buyer who has a realtor who is sticking up for their best interests. There's dual agency, which is like the most broken thing ever, where one realtor represents both parties.
Becoming super illegal in like most of Canada because it's incredibly messed up.
Not here yet, that's for sure.
No.
Where basically there's these negotiators on both sides, both of whom it is in their best interest to flip through properties as quickly as possible at as high a rate as possible. And I'm to believe, as a buyer especially, that this is somehow in my best interest. Ha! Good luck. Yeah. Fortunately, my realtor is actually the dad of someone that my wife went to high school with, and like their families know each other, and so there's some trust there. And he has not steered me wrong, which is good. But anyway, let's move on to this fantastic article over here on Polygon. Counter-Strike player files suit against Valve over illegal gambling surrounding CS:GO. Very interesting. I mean, it was a matter of time before skins and match. I mean, you've already got match fixing, so you're as close to real gambling as you can be before being declared real gambling that only adults can participate in, you know, age of majority and all that stuff that goes along with normal gambling sites and gambling participation and gambling establishments.
There was also something that happened recently. I'm trying to find it. Something along the lines of one of the betting sites had a deal with a streamer where they would tell him like when he was going to win so that he would bet higher on those and then like freak out when he won. Essentially just the scummiest thing I've ever heard of.
So creating more glamour around the practice of betting. So Connecticut resident Michael John McLeod has filed a suit currently seeking class action status, and I don't actually see that being a difficult thing to achieve here, against Valve and 3 skin gambling and selling sites. And the complaint alleges that Valve knowingly allowed and has been complicit in creating, sustaining, and facilitating a market where players and third parties trade weapon skins. It continues that they knowingly allowed, supported, and/or sponsored illegal gambling by allowing millions of Americans to link their individual Steam accounts to third-party websites. That's interesting, because I mean, you know, there's plenty of legitimate uses for Valve's login credentials being valid on a third-party website, like say for example, I don't know, Linus Tech Tips Forum, where you can use your Steam credentials, and all the encryption and account management is done over on Valve's side. We never even get it. We just get a hash or a token or whatever, and you can use your Valve two-factor authentication, all that good stuff. So there's plenty of legit uses for that, but I can see where they're kind of coming from here. In the esports gambling economy, this is further allegations, skins are like casino chips that have monetary value outside the game itself because of the ability to convert them directly into cash. It also alleges that some third-party CSGO websites don't require age verification, which allows minors to bet as well. Bloomberg has reported that CSGO skin gambling is currently a $2 billion industry. So in sum, Valve owns the league, sells the casino chips, and receives a piece of the casino's income stream through foreign websites in order to maintain the charade that Valve is not promoting and profiting from online gambling. Wow. Uh-oh. I mean, I'm not a legal expert. We should get, like, that should be added to our lower third, actually, just permanently.
Not a lawyer.
Next to my Twitter handle, it should just say not a lawyer at Linus Tech. Yeah. But I gotta say, that sounds from just a sort of like a rational, reasonable person who's been observing kind of this weird environment over the last few years. That sounds not quite bulletproof, but pretty compelling.
Yeah, it's not great.
Everyone's Twitch chat's like, sell your skins!
Sell your skins now. Get out. Honestly,
it's the tulip bubble of the 1800s or whatever.
Since this whole thing began, I mean, I was always kind of questioning it because it's like, don't you normally have to get like licenses to gamble and stuff?
Yeah, it's
And,
like pretty tightly regulated in Canada. You have to spend a certain amount of your income on anti-gambling advertisement. Like, this is a really tightly regulated industry.
Big deal, like a huge deal, and you know they've gotten away with it for so long just because I think people don't really understand. Like the people who would come after them don't really understand what's happening. So this might shed a bit more light on that, because yeah, it is not a good thing in my opinion. I mean, it's so accessible. Because it's literally using something that you get as a drop, potentially, in a game that you've paid for and you're playing to get you tied into it. Mm-hmm. And whether Valve agrees or not that they are, quote-unquote, facilitating it, I mean, I think there's an argument to be made there. Again, not a lawyer, don't understand law very well at all, but I think that there is an argument to be made against Valve in this situation. So will be interesting to see what happens. That's for sure.
To be clear, no means no. You said you didn't know the law very well. I'm just making sure you're at least aware of that.
I'm gonna have all sorts of stuff on my Twitter about. Yeah, I'm not.
Oh yeah, you can find him at NickLMG or something like that. Is that right? Or is there an underscore in there?
No, that sounds right.
NickLMG. All right, so. Microsoft will use Steam to sell Windows games, not just its own store. Wow, a move from Microsoft that actually looks like they actually care. Very nice. Original article here is from Ars Technica, and a couple of their latest, a couple of their latest games. So Forza 6 Apex and Killer Instinct have done well in the store, but Quantum Break did not. So maybe they're kind of going, oh, gee, maybe we don't have to be the only store that sells our games. Maybe we could give someone else a cut, although Valve does take a very significant cut.
Yep.
But Phil Spencer said Microsoft will ship games on Steam again and noted that while some game releases have done well in Windows Store, Quantum Break wasn't our best PC release, and Gears of War Ultimate Edition was okay. Awesome. I'm excited because I almost played nothing that isn't on Steam. It is so convenient.
It's like, it's prohibitive to not have your game on Steam nowadays. It just feels like Steam is the way to game. I mean, I guess there's Blizzard, Battle.net or whatever. But still. You can still technically launch those games through Steam. You just have to actually set it up.
Yeah. We've got a couple other sort of rapid-fiery topics here. SanDisk made an iPhone case with built-in storage, up to 128 gigs of extra storage. All it does is bulk up the phone surprisingly little, actually, not that badly. And instead of investing an additional $300 or whatever it is to get an iPhone with that amount of storage, you can just have a bumper case on it that has a little bit more bulk at the bottom by the lightning connector so that there can be a power pass-through and so that it can have a data interface to that storage, and off you go. The one problem with this is that you will be limited to USB 2 speeds, but
it requires a companion app. It can only store certain things. It backs up your camera roll. It does password protect your photos and any files that are on there, so that's nice. And you can also get a battery pack on it for an extra $40.
Yeah, 1900 milliamp hour battery pack. I mean, that will turn your iPhone 6S into like a bit of a brick, but 32 gigs of storage is $60. 64 gigs is 100, and 128 is 130. See, this, by the way, Apple, is how pricing for additional flash storage should work.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's kind of messed up.
Yeah, I guess there's, I don't know, there's like some iPhone 7 rumors or something. I'm not really sure how much I care about that. There were a couple other things that I thought were pretty interesting. Where did they go? You know what? Now let's call that it for the day. Thanks for watching WAN Show, and a huge thanks to Nick. You guys, again, you can find him over at NickLMG over on Twitter. I'm going to post that in the I'm going to post that in the Twitch chat.
Let's hope I don't have any lewd tweets on there.
Yeah, let's hope you don't.
Google might shut me down.
Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you again next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Bye.
Thanks for watching.
Why is everyone talking about G2A? What'd they do? I mean, I'm sure it was simple.
It's just like they're the same as always. And people are posting videos about it like they have forever.
Oh, okay.
And nothing's going to happen. Like nothing's happened forever. Unless there's been a change, which I don't think there has.
Right. Yeah, okay. People wanted us to talk about iPhone 7. Okay, fine. iPhone 7 rumors, expected to be a revision of iPhone 6. Wow, is that really a note on this? Okay, forget it.
It doesn't have a headphone jack.
That's the rumor.
Surprise.